Hi there, this is Carl Irwin, and we're going to cover the VLC synchronization plugin for Musescore 4. To get the plugin, you can go to the Musescore web page, go to Plugins under Download, and then down here at the bottom of the list, starting with V, will be a tag for VLC Sync for film scoring. You click on that, and you can download the QML file here, the plugin file, and you're looking for VLC Sync 3.9 as of the release of this video. There is a prior release also available, two variations actually, the regular one and then a compact version, but the most up-to-date is 3.9. You download that and then drop that into your plugins folder, and then you're off and running. There are some indications here for setting up VLC, which we'll go over very quickly. If you open up VLC, the version here that we're looking at is 3.0.2, so this is the most current version as of this video. Go to Tools, Preferences, and on your operating system you might find some things in slightly different areas, but in general it's the same interface on any operating system. And this plugin is cross-platform, so you can use it for Windows, Mac, or Linux. Under Preferences, we're going to click on All down here so that we can see all of the available settings. If we go down to the bottom of the list, what we're looking for is Interface. And under Main Interfaces, we want to enable Web and make sure that it says HTTP down here. And then under that, we'll click the drop down for Main Interfaces and click on Lua. And under Lua, you're going to type in the word test for password, capital T, then lowercase est. So this is indicated here on the web page for the plugin. Then we save those. Another thing you're going to want to do is on your VLC Media Player window, based on your operating system, you probably have a control somewhere to keep the window on top. So we're going to keep this window on top. That way, as we're working in Musescore, we always can see the video player. Or you could obviously set this off to an extended screen if you're working on a larger rig situation. Let's open up a Musescore project. So this is some pre-existing music, and I'm going to open up a video file to demonstrate. And we'll open up this one. This is actually an old Burt Lancaster movie that's now in the public domain called Vengeance Valley. So I just downloaded this as an example, and I burned in some time code on here just so you have a little bit of a reference to the time code changing compared to the VLC playback indication here, and then also the Musescore 4 timeline. We'll talk about timecode a little bit maybe at the end of this video and a couple of recommendations that I have on this. But for now, we have the video open, and what you want to do is pause whatever video you're using and keep it in paused mode. If the video goes into stopped mode, there could be a slight delay or an inability to start the video when you go to use the plugin. So you want to play the video, put it in paused mode, and then open up your plugin. Under Plugins, you would hit Manage Plugins, and the plugin would be indicated down here on the bottom under Disabled, VLC Sync 3.9. You would click on that, click Enable. It's already enabled, and then it's now available to you. We'll go to Score again, and then under Plugins, I'm going to drop down to where it says Playback, and I'll click on VLC Sync 3.9. So we have our plugin. Now, one quick note about this plugin, it should fit fairly easily into the margins of your project, depending on your operating system and the window manager you have, and what your window borders look like. But it should fit reasonably clean inside of the margin or very close to inside the margin of the upper part of your project, or over here on the left, so it can be out of the way. Now on the plugin, you'll notice that there are some transport buttons. There is a rewind button, which is an exact correlation with the rewind button on Musescore. Then there's a play button, which is also a correlation with the play button on Musescore. You have another button that says To Selection, which we'll get at a little bit later. And then underneath that, you have a jump minutes and seconds field. And in here, you can type in a time on the timeline, on VLC's timeline, where you would want to jump. and that will be used here in a moment as well to navigate around. There's a go button to jump to that point, a close button to close the plugin so that if you're done using it and you don't want the process is running while you're using Musescore, you can close the plugin and it will shut everything down. Then there's a settings button over here, and if we click on settings, it opens up another window. We have here a toggle switch for auto sync. Auto sync is a feature that should in real time synchronize the transport from Musescore 4 as a master to VLC. So you can use the transport buttons pause and play and rewind, and also you can click on an object inside of your Musescore project, a rest or a note, and then when you hit play, it will synchronize VLC and Musescore to that point and play back and pause and rewind and all such things. So if you have autosync on, you generally won't need to use the controls that are on the plugin itself. You'll just use the controls that are on Musescore 4. Now, there are a couple of bugs that can occur where some things will get polarized and play might pause or pause when it's supposed to play. It's a simple matter of pausing or playing a VLC to get things back on task, and then you'll be out of that situation. It's very rare, but it can happen in some circumstances as a bug. Also, you'll notice that when you're using autosync, VLC does take a couple of seconds to catch up. You will hit play, and then VLC will kind of navigate just for a couple of seconds, then it will jump in at the correct time. It will not be behind. It will be accurate, but that is also a very minor kind of bug that you'll see happening when you're using autosync. On this screen also, in this window, you have a Test VLC button. That is just to test your connection with VLC. There's a message section down here which will show various messages based on whatever it is you're choosing to do. If you set an offset or change something, it'll show up as a message down there. Save and exit, self-explanatory. Whatever settings you change here, you can save, and then it will exit out of this window, return to the main window of the plugin. Right above the Save and Exit button, there is a field for millisecond delay. This is a delay that will delay the start, the actuation of VLC by a predetermined amount of time in milliseconds. By default, it is 25 milliseconds. This is a typical value that offsets the play engine's response on Musescore 4, again, at the time of this version of Musescore, which is, I think, version 4.5.1. And the play engine does have a slight delay, that whenever you're playing back your score versus when you export your score, there'll be about a 25 millisecond difference in delay when you're playing it live in the from the engine. This is a problem because you want to export your audio, you want your exported audio to match up precisely with what you were scoring. So this is built into the plugin to delay, and you can change this if you have a lower powered system. There's a way to do a few tests to find out approximately how far you need to set this. In quick description, you could create a single staff project, put in a percussion instrument like a snare drum or claves, and put in a succession of measures where you have beat 1 playing at a tempo, export that WAV file, and then change your instrument to another percussion instrument, put your WAV file into VLC, synchronize everything, play it back, and you'll note if the playback from Musescore is a little behind VLC. And if it is a little bit more than 25 milliseconds, then you can change this, and that should match your system pretty consistently whenever you're opening projects on that particular computer on that system. But for most people with relatively powerful systems with enough memory, you should be able to use 25 milliseconds as your typical delay. You really need to change that. Over here we have an offset for hours, minutes, and seconds. This feature allows a composer to set the score to synchronize to a particular chunk of time within a movie. You should be able to type in here an amount on the timeline that Musescore will jump to for the start of the project. For example, I might want to go all the way out to 1 hour, 5 minutes and 15 seconds. And If I do set that and I hit save and exit, now whenever I jump to the beginning of the score, it will jump to 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 15 seconds. And this will align exactly with the very beginning of my score. What I might do is in my score at the very beginning, I might place a text, staff text above there that puts this a measurement in there, 1 hour, 5, and 15. That way when I open my score, I know where it is in the timeline for the master video that I am scoring to. So that is how you use that feature. And let's take a look at how everything works from this point. If I hit play on the transport, it will play back from this point, and VLC will also play from that point. And I can hit pause, and it will pause there. Let me get rid of my delay here. We're just going to return this back to the regular 0 offset. For autosync, if I go up here to the top to the Musescore 4 transport and I hit the rewind button, this will take me all the way back to the very beginning of the project. And if I hit play, it will synchronize back to the beginning. And you can see with autosync, using the transport buttons from Musescore 4, there was a couple of second delay before VLC did catch up. But as you can see, it did catch up. We're at 6 seconds. And you can see we're at 6 seconds as well on the timeline here. And there's also on the plugin, the timing data is also up here on the very top row. You can see here's the time, the measure, the beat, and the beats per minute, the tempo that is in the score at that moment. So that is the general usage of the autosync and the transport. I do also want to show you that you can select a point inside of the score. If I select a note or a rest much later, this will now be the new starting point when I hit play from the Musescore transport. If I hit play from here, and if I hit pause, you can see that I do synchronize 38 seconds, 38 seconds, 38 seconds. So it works pretty seamlessly to jump around. Now, for me, I actually prefer to score with the autosync turned off. I just feel that not having that minor delay every now and then is just a little bit more efficient for the way that I prefer to work, and you can turn it off. If you click here on the settings, you can just turn off the toggle switch for autosync. And now from here, if I hit save and close, now the transport buttons will work independently from the plugin. This can be helpful if I just want to listen to a part of the score. I can just minimize my video. I can work on the music on its own without dealing with VLC. And when I'm ready to bring my video back, I can bring a VLC back up and then use the transport buttons from the plugin. If I have the transport docked up here to the top, right next to the regular transport, everything is nice and close. Now I can navigate around. Now let's look at the jump function very quickly. This jump function, minutes and seconds, if I want to jump to a particular place, let's say I scroll ahead in VLC, and I want to jump to a place inside of the video, and let me go down here in the first couple of minutes because this score is only a couple minutes long. Let's say I want to jump to about 1 minute and 47 seconds. Up here, I can type that in, go back to the beginning, 1 minute and 47 seconds. And if I hit go, now with autosync turned off, it will jump VLC and Musescore and everything to that exact point in time. So 147, 147, and then I can play from there. And there's no delay. The video starts immediately right when it's supposed to. And likewise, from here, I can, with autosync turned off, I can select a point in the score, a rest or a note, and I can hit to selection, and it will jump to that spot. It'll go to whatever I have selected. So even with the auto sync off, this plugin is extremely powerful and very direct. Again, just the way that I prefer to work. Some of you may prefer to use auto sync. I want to talk very briefly about a time code. There are often requests with plugins like these in Notation and Digital Audio Workstation applications about the implementation of time code. One thing about time code from my experience is that if you're using time code, you want to be using burned in time code. Time code is something that is used as a communication tool between a production staff and a composer or an audio editor, the various different departments when making a film. Usually the time code will be burned in to the video, so that is hard-coded to the video on the actual image by the director or the producer of the project, and everybody will have a copy of the same video with the same burned-in time code so that there is a common reference. For our purposes, if you're not using burned-in time code, it is perfectly adequate to use minutes and seconds or hours, minutes, seconds in reference. Just know that whenever Musescore is starting its project, it will, with this plugin, will always be starting at the beginning of a whole second value inside of VLC. VLC does not account for subdivisions of the second, only whole seconds. And you would want to, when you're composing to a section of film, you'll want to put a buffer of space, either a short segment of off-meter or off-tempo material to line up the very beginning of your cue, and the exported audio will begin at a whole second value on that film as you deliver it to your director if it is another department or another person. Those are all the functions of this plugin. Very powerful. Again, cross-platform. This works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And I wish you the very best of luck with this, and happy composing.